Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel Saint Nightingale. In this tutorial video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this button-down circle dress with a turtleneck. If you haven't subscribed, click on that subscribe button now. Alright, so first off, I will be using freehand, mostly freehand, to cut this pattern because I want it to be as less complicated as possible for beginners. So what I have here on fold is 2.5 yards. I have taken out some fabrics or some yards away from this, so I have here on fold on the floor 2.5 yards. I will show you how I folded this, or rather I think I already mentioned or showed you this at the beginning of this video. So this is folded in this way. The reason why this is also folded this way is because of the extra material that I'll be using for the button. So you place your measuring tape and just look for the area that will complete your shoulder measurements. So that point that I started with is the point that has the material, the start point for the material that is under when this is folded this way. So I've marked like a straight line because I'm going to be working with the shoulder measurement from that start line, which is 7 inches on fold, which will give us 14 inches. So I went on to mark 7.5 inches on that line, which will give me about 15 inches covering the sewing allowance. Then for the armhole measurement as well, I went down by 8.5 inches and I marked that. I will just on this part just draw out the armhole pattern. So like I said, I'll be using freehand most of the time when doing this. You can see that I used my chalk to just create a curve on that line. So we're going forward to mark the depth for the back side and for the front side in terms of the neck area. So remember, this is on fold, double fold. So I have the back fabric sitting behind and I have the front fabrics or pattern sitting in front. So I first of all marked the depth for the front, which is 2.5 inches, right? I'm also going to mark the depth for the back, which is 1 inch, and then the wideness of the neck area as well that I'll be working with is 2.5 inches, and that's what I've marked on that line. So when I'm cutting this, I'll first of all cut the back measurement, which is the one that has the 1 inch, and then before I proceed to flipping this up, raising this up, and then cutting the one for the front. So I'm using my curve ruler now to properly curve this out. I'll also place the curve ruler again on the part that I marked, or rather I used my freehand to mark that part where I have the depth for the neck area where the turtleneck will sit, which is 2.5 inches. So I used my ruler now to just straighten this out on that excess, the part that has the excess material. So when I'm cutting this out, it's easy for me to follow through with the lines. I had to also zoom in the camera so you can properly see how this is. So I'm going to flip this over now so you can see the back, right, and this is the front. So when I'm cutting, I'm going to first of all cut that part that has the measurement for the back before I do that for the front. So what I'm also trying to do right now is to measure the full length measurement. The full length measurement I'll be working with is 42 inches, but because this material is 60 inches long, I won't be able to get that total measurement, so I'm going to be adding a piece of material at the tip. But you see how I add this up. The first measurement I got from this is 35 inches, so I'm just going to mark. I will zoom out now so you can see this. I'm going to mark 35 inches from the shoulder downwards and from the front part downwards as well. So from that part I have 35 inches. I'm just going to flip my measuring tape as well and mark another 35 inches across, so it gives me that circleness. Permit my English. So it gives that circle shape. So I'll just quickly place my measuring tape and just mark this now. So after marking this, I will now pick my scissors and follow through with this measurement that I have marked on the piece of material. So now that is out of the way, I'm going to pick up my measuring tape and mark the bust measurement. The bust measurement I'll be working with is 42 inches. So I mean this is unfold in 4 places. So this means that I'll be dividing 42 in 4 places to get my actual measurement for the bust, which will give me about 10.5 inches. So, and that's what I've just marked there, and I'm going to now use that to trace out the measurements. So I've also readjusted the shoulder measurements because I noticed that it wasn't sitting properly. So that's what I'm trying to just do here. Nothing has really changed except for the fact that I'm trying to just ensure that the shoulder measurement is as accurate as possible, not too wide. Also, I took out the shoulder slope on that part, taking out 1 inch for the shoulder slope. That's ready, so we'll just proceed to getting other measurements. So like I mentioned, I decided to just mark the bust area and then add in the other necessary sewing allowance, so that you can see my hand on 10.5. So I'm just going to add the sewing allowance to that. I used 1.5 inches sewing allowance to that, and that's the only part I'll be getting the, or rather making use of the bust measurement. So from that part, I'm going to place my long ruler now and connect it to the tip of the gown, and then just mark that line. So afterwards, I'm going to pick up my scissors now and just trace that marking that I have done. I'm going to do this slowly so you can just follow through the process. So like I mentioned, I'm going to first of all cut out the measurement for the back, right? I mean, cut out the depth of the back. So let me move to the other side and just follow through that line and cut the one for the back first, because that one is sitting underneath the one for the front. So after I'm done with cutting this, I will now raise the piece of material and cut the depth for the front. So that is out of the way. Like I mentioned, that's the back. So the one for the front is what I have here now, and I'll carefully ensure that this scissors only cuts through the one in front. So our dress is almost ready. I would now be taking out 3 inches away from that point. I mean the tip of that particular spot. I'm going to be taking out 3 inches away, and I'm going to be tracing it out, which is where the buttonhole will sit as well as the button. So let's quickly just cut through this. So this is ready. Remember I mentioned that the full length that I'm going to be working with is um, 42 inches. So I'm just going to now add, trace the material that I'll be adding to this, another circle piece of material. While I was cutting this, a portion of the material already carried this shape, so I'm just going to be using that piece of material for the back. I'm going to show you what I mean before I proceed to cutting the one that I'm going to be using for the front. What I'm trying to do at this point is to properly adjust the curve on that side. Alright, so this is done. I would now move the camera to see what I meant by the material that already formed that shape. So, this excess material already carries that shape that I mentioned to you. So, I will just move this and place it to where the start point will be. I remember I said I'm working with 42 inches and what I had was 45 inches. So, I marked my 42 inches and added the joining allowance, which is half an inch upwards and downwards. The tip is going to basically just be weaving. I'm not going to be turning this inside out, so I've marked that point and I will just cut through the excess away from the material. I would also be using the tape to just mark through the the measurement for the extra material that I'll be adding to this to form the full length measurements that I'm going to be working with. For other persons, you may not need to use this format because the full length already works for you. But because this clothes, the person I'm working or rather working sewing this for, would not want that to be this short, the dress to be this short, and that's why I'm adding this extra material to the tip. So that's out of the way. I will now be this extra material that I had cut out away from the 2.5 inches is what rather 2.5 yards is what I'll be using to cut the one for the front. So I turned this together. This is about 1 yard. I would now be using this to trace out the pattern for the front, bearing in mind the 3 inches allowance that I have for the front that is meant to be for the button hole and the button itself. So I've measured my 3 inches on that point. I'll use my tape rule to measure that to be sure that it's 3 inches that I have on that point, and I'm going to also move this upwards to be sure that I have 3 inches. I'll place it close to where the clothes is and I'll just cut out. So I'll cut the sleeves and then we'll just proceed to other parts. So I mean, I did a tutorial before this on the other video. I'll just drop the link here on how I used my dress form to cut through or get the measurement that I want for the turtleneck. That if you have a dress form, this technique will work for you. So I left about some few sewing allowance upwards and downwards, as well as on the sides, so that by the time this is sewn on the material, I have enough allowance to work with. Also, I also made use of stay when joining this together. So I would open this up away from the paper tape, place this on an stay and sew through. I'll just flip to show you. So that's the stay there. I'm going to now join with the material that I used for covering this up. So I will join in the upper part. Like I mentioned, I'll drop the link for you to see how I've done this before using paper tape to clone the turtleneck area that I want to use for this material. In terms of when cloning, you also have to be mindful of the measurements, I mean the wideness of the neck, if it's also accurate with the dress form that you're working with before proceeding with this technique. So let's proceed to joining this turtleneck area. So first of all, join the upper part together, the wrong side facing the wrong side, so that when I flip over we have the right side. So the next thing I'll do is to open up this. You can see how I've opened this up and then flip over and then sew the excess that I have there on the part that has the stay. And the reason I'm doing this is so that that neck area can flatten out as smoothly as possible. So what I'll be doing next is to iron this out on the ironing table before joining to the neck area for the dress. But let's put this aside and begin joining the other parts of the material together. So now I'm joining the extra tip for the back to the material. Then I'll do the same thing for the front as well, and then join the shoulder. But then let's join the extra tip that we have for the back. Alright, we're done with the back, rather the one for the back. Let's do the one for the front. Alright, so I will be joining shoulder to shoulder now for both sides of the pattern. So for the shoulder, I'm going to be doing the shirt finishing, so I won't have to weave that shoulder before joining the turtleneck. Now that that's out of the way, let's join the area that has the buttonhole and the button. So I have already folded this on the ironing table with 1¼ sewing allowance, and then after this we'll now join the shoulder. So I've closed the mouth of the shoulder of the of the part that has the turtleneck. I've closed both sides. I'm bearing in mind the measurement for the neck area, and I'm going to be placing this on the neck area to join together. So the technique I'm using is I'm not going to sew the inner part and then flip over and turn it in. I'm just going to sew it down this way. Before I sew down on the neck area, I will just close up the tip so that when I'm sewing this on the material, it's as firm as possible. So this is done now. I would now be joining the turtleneck area to the next side of the dress. So the next thing I'll do is to work on the sleeves. So I'm closing the tip of the sleeves for the left and the right side, and I would fix this on the material. Now to the fabric. Once we're done, I'm going to be showing you how this turned out to be, and voila, here we have it. So just brighten this up. I added the applique to that left side of the fabric. I'm going to move down for you to see the way this flows through at that lower part. This is it without the belt. I created a belt with the fabric to just accentuate the waist, so that you can see this, the beauty of how this sits with the belt. I'm moving the camera so you can just see the areas. I'm going to also show you the back with the belt so you see what this looks like. So this is what the back looks like, and I'm going to be showing you what the front looks like now with the belt. This is so lovely. I love the color. I love the very, very pale pink color. That's lovely. I love the contrast as well with the flowers. It's so lovely. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll be taking your questions. If you haven't subscribed, do not forget to also click on that subscribe button, turn on your notification button, and also share this to your various networks. From me to you, it's bye bye. Keep creating magic. It's Scent Nightingale.